Story 1. I wasted my youth being controlled by my shame, anxiety, and not being able to accept the abuse I suffered. Now, even though I still struggle and hurt, I am no longer controlled by it, and that gives way to deep regret at my youth not lived. I would love to go back and experience adolescence. Story 2. Because being a teenager in the 1990s was so much fun, it was truly such a cool time to grow up. Luckily, all the memories are safely stored in my friends and my minds, or in the old traditional photos safely hidden in frames. No lasting social media evidence. Story 3. I want to be 15 years younger and stay in that state forever. I am fine with mentally aging, gaining more experience, changing my personality, and so on. I just want to be physically young and forever, meaning no death, no age-caused issues with my body and problems like that. Forget aging. Story 4. I'd like to know the feeling of having hopes and dreams again. It's like when a kid stops believing in Santa and reality hits. When those go, it's like a more adult version of that. Story 5. Just the stress or the worries that accompany you as you get older. Hurdles in life are inevitable. They're for your own greater good, for your personality development. Sure, but do I want to keep evaluating my present self? Regret making certain choices. Worry about things that I'm sure I wouldn't care about in a couple of years or months, in fact, but still do it anyway. The idea that you're responsible for your own life keeps getting clearer and clearer every day, which certainly isn't exciting. Story 6. Waking up and feeling things hurt when I did nothing to cause them to hurt. This started when I turned 35 this year. This week alone, I woke up with my left hip hurting and stiff, my right knee the next day, my neck one day, and upper back another day. Story 7. Meh. There's some good stuff like when being sick, bouncing back quickly. Less risk of injury, or when being injured, being able to heal quickly. But all in all, I've lived an insane youth. My daughter says that it should be a movie, haha. I've lived a full, long, fruitful life, and at my age, I'm able to slow down and appreciate what I've done, where I've come from, who I am, and what I've accomplished. There's a lot of great things about being young again, but I'm not going to chase them. I'm going to let the young people live their best life and not try to infringe on their time. Story 8. I want to be younger again in my 20s to attend concerts, music festivals, hike more, and learn freediving. I want to explore so much of what I can do with nature. Sadly, my 20s were focused on studying medicine. If only I could be in my 20s again. Story 9. The joy of the holidays, specifically Christmas. I heard a group of school kids singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the other day, and it brought tears to my eyes. Story 10. Watching my favorite sporting heroes, Lewis Hamilton, LeBron James, and Cristiano Ronaldo, slowing down and getting close to retirement. I just don't have the same bond with the newer guys. Story 11. I miss the fun of playing with toys. When I try to play with toys again now, it feels different. It's not as fun as it used to be, although I admit I don't want to go back to those days because of bullying either. I want to go back there to make my childhood more memorable and more fun. Story 12. I miss being pain-free and having the drive and ability to really get out there and experience life. That thought is tempered by having a good, supportive group of people around me who encourage me to find things that I can still enjoy. Story 13. Having aches and pains makes me want to be in my early 20s again. I guarantee all of us in our mid-30s and up wish for that. Something happens when you turn 30. Your joints just go, I'm getting a little tired. Story 14. While driving to work this morning, I was thinking about how much I miss that Christmas magic that I haven't felt since I was a child and adolescent. From the smell of the burnt plastic from the lights on the tree, the large family gatherings, waking up to open presents from Santa, and spending the rest of the day watching Christmas and Harry Potter movies while eating leftovers from the previous night's dinner and drinking Mexican hot punch. I remember Christmas Eve 2011, and I was 14 when I got to play The Elder Scrolls V. Skyrim, and how I pulled an all-nighter not realizing how much this game would impact me even 13 years after its release. I wish I could go back to that specific Christmas Eve. Story 15. If I could just change one moment 18 years ago in 2006. I asked my mother to help me move a step leading up to a granny flat my brother was using. It was a railway sleeper and super heavy, My mother, in her usual fashion, didn't let me know she was going to drop her end to move something out of the way. So I couldn't hold it, and it dropped on my right foot. It was a hard, painful 7 weeks with my pain getting worse, not better. My foot was so swollen. Thankfully, an orthopedic surgeon, my son's friend's dad, saw my foot and told me he'd fix me at the end of his surgical schedule the next day to drain it so it wouldn't split. I woke up in agony, screaming the doctor didn't get it. So he referred me to the pain clinic. My pain specialist was amazing and diagnosed me with complex regional pain syndrome in the first appointment. I know I was lucky to get her. She's still my specialist and my hero. But damn, if I could just go back and change that decision, my life would have been profoundly different. This pain is insanely brutal. I did it to protect my brother as he had a 6-pack of beer, then smoked a couple of joints every night. Then he'd stagger up the steps and faceplant into the garden. It terrified me. I thought he'd kill himself by landing on the brick ground. I thought he'd smash his skull open. The step was wobbly, so I had to move it. All in all, I just would love to remote that decision. Story 16. Stress. Even when I was in college, it was just a simpler time. I loved being single in college. It was a fun time and everything like that. I would probably hate being single now as a 35-year-old. In my early 20s, just going out with some friends, flirting with girls, having some drinks, and just enjoying life. I love my wife and I wouldn't change anything now in my life, but there are just a lot of responsibilities. Story 17. Lack of pain. Injured myself in sports several times, a stupid car wreck, pushing too hard. Now I live with pain daily. No limitations on anything, just tiring and annoying. All because I wanted to keep up with faster runners. Vanity for total strangers that were surprised with how much I could lift as a shorter, smaller person. Hooray for vanity and pride. I miss not having any pain, not having to kick all the stuff my kids left out into the corner of the room so I only have to bend over once. Younger adults, take care of your body. Story 18. To spend less time fighting with my mom and sister. To make better choices in regard to school, credit, and so on. To hug my family dogs one more time. And to not take advantage of having young, beautiful skin. Story 19. I want to be able to play with my daughter. Chase her around the park. Climb the obstacles. Scream at the top of our lungs. Run and run until we fall down laughing. But I cannot because of a myriad of health issues and a broken body. So I just sit and watch her and hug her as hard as I can and tell her daddy loves her. Story 20. I miss having time to play basketball for 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, and lifting 5 days a week. I don't miss being broke and having terrible self-esteem despite apparently being really attractive. Story 21. I realized a couple of days ago that I'm exactly 10 years younger than my dad was when he died of natural causes. I thought he was old. I don't want to be only 10 years away from old. Story 22. Not having to worry about politics and being able to come home and just put my things down and relax without a bunch of stupid small tasks that need to get done. Story 23. I wish I had started working on socializing, building relationships, personal finance, and health sooner. If I could be young again or go back in time, I would work on the above. Story 24. I miss my afternoon naps and 10-hour sleep. I want to play hooky and miss school just because. I want the brightness of the future and the excitement of being an adult. To go back. Story 25. Spend time with my parents who left this earth 16 years ago. I thought time would change things, but I still miss them dearly. The pain of losing them is still just as hard, even so many years later. On a more selfish note, I was born in the late 70s and raised in the 80s and 90s. What a time to be alive. I understand every decade has its moments, but I so miss the 80s. $1 got me a pack of Garbage Pail Kids, a tiny drink, a bag of Doritos, and a pack of Wrigley's. Story 26. To get that feeling of hope for the future, just expecting to get married, have kids, do all that stuff because that's what happens on television and to the grown-ups in your life. Not knowing about any of the problems and stresses that adult life has in store. Story 27. Seeing kids play in a park on a warm day, not caring about anything but who's it, what slide to go down next, or if they should jump off the swing. Nothing hits me harder than realizing how much you have to leave behind to pursue a career. Story 28. I'm watching an old Dan the Diamond Minecart Minecraft video about his holiday disaster, and I remember watching it when I was younger. I just want to go back in time to experience his videos for the first time again. Story 29. Awesome responses so far. I believe all the terrible and bad things that I went through made me the person I am today. I would love to avoid the pain and trauma, but I have made peace with it. But I would love to experience running around for hours, jumping and tumbling like I was indestructible, feeling the wind in my face. Story 30. I used to think I was going to live forever and lived without the weight of dying one day, which at the time felt incredibly free. However, I am thankful now to be able to accept the reality of my own spirit passing and be truly free. Story 31. The people that I have loved and lost to tragedy or sickness. To feel like this world is a blank canvas again and to be energized by the love of these people to go paint your portrait. To no longer see the world as a cold and slow churning entropy. I'd much rather be forever young. Story 32. Nothing. Kids growing up now have it even tougher than I did, and I grew up isolated in a home with multiple kinds of abuse. I wish I could tell myself not to eat so much and to get on a healthy diet and exercise regimen, but you could not pay me enough to be a teenager in the current social and political climate. Story 33. Free time and not a care in the world. I just want to go back to my biggest worry or responsibility being what I want to do that day and who I want to do it with. I'll add another one. Friends being okay with spending days together. When I was younger, I'd stay the night at friends' houses. As an adult, it's not normal, and no one wants to do that sort of thing unless they get too tired to go home. I don't know what it is that makes me want to. Maybe just the nostalgia of all the nights spent with friends staying up until 5 a.m., getting into whatever trouble we wanted to. Story 34. My face looks older now, but I miss feeling like I had time. I didn't know my face would betray me, so I would have embraced it more in my youth. Also, maybe trying to date. I always considered marriage a later issue or something that just happens. Well, that wasn't true. Story 35. Wanting music to feel special again. Not that it isn't special now, there was just some unique feeling I had when I was little in connection to certain music, TV, and films too actually. The feeling is really hard to describe, but there was just something special or magical or something that I don't feel anymore, even when listening to the same song I heard back then. I think part of that feeling was not knowing what all the lyrics were, either because I couldn't tell or because I didn't know what the words meant. In general, there was just something different about listening to music and watching things that I miss. In particular, there was one song which had my name in it, that whenever I heard it come on, I would demand absolute silence until it was done. I have a very unique and uncommon name, at least for where I live, so this song felt super special. It was slow-paced too, had emotion behind it, so I just felt a deep connection to it, even though I knew it wasn't about me. I haven't listened to it in full for a long time. I think I'm afraid it won't feel special anymore, or worse, I won't like it as much anymore. I also know a lot more about what it's about now too. For example, I know that its use of my name is in reference to a river in Australia of the same name. Story 36. I recently turned 40, never dated or been in any kind of relationship, have no friends, just hit the wall. I missed so many milestones in life, and at this point, it is too late to start. It would be nice to go back and actually stick with working on my mental health and try to be more social. Story 37. I am 25 years old. Still quite young for most people. But since I am studying, most of my peers are at least 4 to 5 years younger than me. I miss the times of waking up without a worry in the world, being irresponsible and just living each day as I wanted. Now, unless I want to fail, I sometimes have to study up to 12 to 14 hours a day to pass my exams in medicine. It is incredibly challenging, and the sense of responsibility is heavy. Story 38. Having the opportunity to go back and steer my life in a more functional direction, I am still feeling the consequences of poor decisions I made 5, 6, or 7 years ago. Then again, if I had jumped straight into college, I would have neglected my classes, developed a few addictions, and wasted all that money. I have been through so much in the nearly 8 years since graduating high school, but I suppose some of it has toughened me up. I do not know. In all honesty, I would not go back. I am much more mature and introspective now, and I know what I want and what I do not want in life. I am thankful I am getting it together now rather than 20 years from now. Story 39. My ankle randomly hurts now. That was not a problem before. There are endless possibilities. You can always pivot, but when you are really young, there are so many avenues to explore. And I miss having living grandparents. They were really great. Story 40. I would like to go back to study harder and get relevant degrees in high-demand fields, so I can secure a good career and financial freedom. Oh, to be financially independent from my low-income family. It would be a dream come true. I am a 30-year-old female with basically useless degrees and am unemployed and have always been that way because my useless degrees did their thing. I wasted my 20s pursuing useless degrees that were and are still unhelpful in getting a job, let alone a good career and secure financial freedom. My degree fields were not my own top choice. I was led to pursue them to please my family, not myself. They pulled me back every time I tried to pursue what I want. I guess I paid for not being assertive and standing up for myself against them with my potential career success and financial freedom.